families here today. I pray that you would help us to learn something that will help us be better host families. And I pray for our students as they get ready to come. I pray for safety for them. I just pray for this meeting that you would bless in everything that's done. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, thank you for coming. I know a lot of times, especially who's hosted more than 5 years? Okay, anybody more than 10 years? Okay, Miss Buckner gets the medal today for that. Okay, so I know especially if you've hosted for many years, your first thing is, oh, why do I have to go to that again? I get it. I think we're all kind of beating to death at work and different places. But please keep in mind that every year we do our orientations and our follow-up training meetings. One, because we have organizations that we are accredited through, both the school and the homestay agencies, and we have certification responsibilities to show we've done our due diligence. And also, everything isn't always exactly the same. There's new policies, and sometimes we've all been to events where maybe we didn't get so much out of the event, but we got so much out of the fellowship, and we met new people. So thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And just make sure you take care of the paperwork and the sign-up sheets that are provided. All right, so I'm Dr. Robinson. Yeah. So I've been the International Program Director. They say if you survive your first 5 years, you're good. So I'm starting year 6, so hopefully they won't can me now. So I do a lot of the immigration. That's my primary job, the marketing, just overall program success. Miss Jackson, if you'll wave. You don't know that's Miss Jackson. We're excited because Miss Jackson is, okay, so Miss Jackson has always done our ESL. She actually started in 2008. So she's going into year 10, working in the international program. And so what she's going to do this year, she's going to still teach a few classes, but she's coming in to take over as an administrative assistant. So that when I'm out of the country, things will remain smooth. And it's part of her full-time position, so that will be a more consistent thing, which I know will help the families, help the school, and so we're excited about that change. And Miss Akins, she's videoing for me. She's going to raise her hand. And Miss Akins is joining us as our primary ESL teacher. She's also going to be helping us with our annual trips. We've scheduled a trip that's going to be offered in the upper division, school-wide in the upper division, to go to Europe for 9 days. Yeah, so now that we have a little bit more help, we're going to be able to offer more outbound things for our students. So we're excited.
Exchange student.
It's for English as a second language.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's English as a second language. So my business card is actually in your black folder. Every family should have picked one up. And in it has my school email. It also has my office number. If you try to get me on the office number, you realize that can be futile. So my cell number, if you look on there, there's a 904 number on the business card as well. That is my cell number. And that's much more effective than my office number. Okay? So you can text me or email me, and those are usually the quickest ways. Also on that business card, it has all the different social media things. This year we're excited. We updated our staff, so we're excited about that. But we also, we've changed our international classroom to H4. Got a new whiteboard, new carpet, new desks we're pretty excited about. And then we also bought 15 iPads for the students to use in the class. As a school, we've added 2 STEM labs, one in the lower division and one in the upper division. So our kids will be able to participate in that. So we're really excited and happy about those changes. Okay, so this is in your folder, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Okay, it's a back to school orientation for the international students, and our first week of school is kind of a general schedule. Really the only big note on this is that I know returning students a lot of times will say, I don't don't need to go to that orientation because I've been here for 3 years. Well, it's really not optional, okay? And so even if they don't want to come, they have to come, okay? So when they try to get out of it, say, sorry, can't get out of it, okay? That's one of the times that orientation is where we integrate our new and our returning students. We go over new policies, and we also do, we go out to lunch together, we do an event together, and so it's a very important thing for them to be part, okay? So if you'll make sure they're here and on time for that Wednesday the 8th orientation. Also for the school orientation on the 9th, please make sure you come with your student and be part of that experience. A lot of times, most of the time, our students will nod and smile. That does not mean I understand. That means I'm just being polite. Okay? So when you go along with them, that really helps them out. Okay? Physicals and immunizations, the bane of my existence. They're very difficult to get sometimes. So the school now requires an immunization record on file for them to get scheduled. So what I've done is worked with the agents this summer to get that initial immunization record done. However, that does not mean that you won't be asked to go to the health department to get immunization. Because especially new students are coming from other countries are typically missing a couple shots, okay? The only difference is we've got that initial paperwork ready, and that is so they can get scheduled here at the school. If you get an email that says, please take your child to the health department for their immunizations, you have 2 weeks to do it. After 2 weeks, I'll let your homestay agency know that we haven't gotten it done yet. They're gonna help me out by holding the homestay checks if somebody's just like never getting it done, because that was a big problem last year. People just going months and not getting it done. We sent several emails. So we're just gonna nip that in the bud real easy. So you have 2 weeks to get it accomplished, okay? Because we have, as a school, that's a little tight and tough, but as a school, we have state mandates that we have to be responsible for. So I've reached out to the homestay agents to help me with the, if I need a little stiffer support for that, okay? If you get a record, please make sure, you'll see I've circled it in yellow, please make sure that it's signed. Every once in a while, I'll have someone who says, well, I don't want to sign this physical, or I don't want to sign this immunization record because it's not complete. Well, of course, you can't give a student 12 shots in one day, but you can put, there's an expiry date up there, and then you can sign it, okay? And the school acknowledges that expiry date and signature. But if we get paperwork, a school physical or an immunization with no signature, it's no good to us, okay? So always, just as a best practice, if you take your student to get a school physical or an immunization, double check that that signature is there, okay? The school physicals, those, all students, if you have a new student, they are required to have a school physical. Now, they only have to get it, it's a school entry physical, which means when they're new, they come, they get it one time and done, okay? It's school entry, they don't have to do it every year, okay? But that school entry physical, you'll see it in the middle, that's required for them to come to school. These school entry physicals, if you have a new student, and if you're not sure, reach out to me, okay? Reach out to your homestay agency and say, hey, is this kid new? Or are they returning? All returning students have this on file. They don't need to do it again. New students have to, okay? And so they have to have this done by Wednesday, August 8th. They cannot come to the first day of school without their school entry physical done, okay? And if that natural parent and that student's gonna be really angry if it's the first day and we're still waiting on it. Because the state, we're not supposed to let them show up, okay? So make sure that when they come in, we ask the kids to come in early so they can get over the jet lag, so you can take them to do anything that needs to be done, and they can come to both orientations, and you have plenty of time to run to the care spot. Care spot does it, the kid pays like $10, $15. They do the school entry physical, okay? So it's not difficult. If you have a student who wants to play sports, a lot of them don't. Some may decide they want to play sports halfway through the year. The sports physicals are not the same. They do not count as a school entry physical, okay? Two totally separate things. And that sports physical has to be done annually. So if you have a student who was in your home last year, played sports, they're gonna have to do it again. It's only good, the sports physical is only good for 1 year, okay? And do not take students to primary care doctors, okay? The insurance they have is for like a care spot or an emergency room. If you take them to your family doctor, you're gonna end up with, that kid's gonna end up with a $500 bill for services. And that causes a serious problem. Our kids and our families pay a lot of money for school and homestay, and it really looks bad if we're having to go back asking for money. So care spot and emergency rooms, that's where their insurance, it's emergency medical insurance. The insurance the kids have through their prospective homestay agent is not a primary care doctor kind of insurance, okay? All right, last year we kind of implemented ID badges for the staff. We put in our big security system around campus where you have to buzz in, things like that. This year we're giving the students ID badges. Those ID badges work from 7:40 to 3:30, okay? A school ID with a lanyard. Now, my kids love Harry Potter, so I'm getting them Gryffindor and Ravenclaw lanyard, but you know, they can be expressive through their lanyards as long as it's not really expressive. And they should have their ID with on a lanyard around their neck. And I hate stuff around my neck. I rarely wear a necklace. So I'm gonna have to suck it up myself. So if they say, oh, I hate to wear that around my neck, say, well, other people do too, get over it. And so it's a school safety issue. It has to be worn on the outside of the clothing. If they lose it, you have to pay $10. They'll get a temporary badge for the day. If they lose it repeatedly, they'll get a referral, okay? And they have to go see the dean of student to get that temporary badge. That means that you as a parent, all throughout last year as we were working through the kinks of our new system, parents would just come and push the little button. You could come in the H building, you could come in the S building, you could come in the M building. This year they've asked that any visitors, do not go to the high school office, do not go to the M building office, go through the S building office. You'll sign in, you'll get a temporary ID, and they'll get you through to the buildings, okay? So all visitors, even if you've been here for 100 years, you have to sign in at the S building office first, okay? All right, we're gonna do a little fun trivia. Okay, because uniforms, you're taking your students. They're purchasing the uniforms, but you're the ride, okay? So when they're sitting there looking, don't just go drink a cup of coffee and be a absent part of it while they're getting their uniforms. Be there and support them. And even if they've been here, maybe they're returning, it's their second or third year. Sometimes kids buy the wrong thing more than 1 year at a time. And so if you can be there to help them and make sure they're getting the right thing, then that's always important. So what do you think is an official uniform? A or B? B, pockets in. Because pockets in is business casual. This was a pain in my tuchus last year. So I returned a lot of pants myself. And yeah, so I get it, but we gotta do it, right? It's policy. So which pant or short color does not belong? A, B, or C? It's black, khaki, and navy blue. Who says black? Who says black does not belong? Who says navy blue does not belong? Who says khaki does not belong? Actually, the answer is C. Royal blue is not an official pant or short color anymore. So if you're with your student, they try to buy a pair of blue breeches, tell them no. Because blue is not approved. It's not, they're going to be asked to change it or return it. And why do that when you can get it right the first time, okay? So, here we go. What are the official school colors? Do you know? A, B, C, or D? Okay, who says D? Heard a few D's. Who thinks A? Anybody for B? Anybody for C? No, there's not none of the above. It would be D. Royal blue, gray, black, and white are the official school colors, which means shirts and outerwear must be only these colors. Okay? So your pants are shorts. Girls don't get shorts, but the boys do get shorts. But your pants are black or khaki, and these are the shirt colors: royal blue, gray, black, and white. So if your student goes to grab a red or a green, that's not the right color, okay? It might be cute, but it's not the right color. All right, so which outerwear is approved? Because this is a new policy this year.
C.
C? Is C your final answer? Anybody else think something else could be approved? It is actually B and C. B and C. I know, close, but no cigar, right? I know. Okay, and the reason, this is what we've done, because we know the kids, frankly, I was on the no hoodie bandwagon myself, but I was an island unto myself. For safety reasons, and we're trying to be distinct. As a parent, it's very frustrating when you pay $30-something for a uniform shirt, and then you've got a big Florida Gator jacket on top of it, so why did I buy that fancy shirt, right? And so we want to look nice, we want our kids to look professional, we want them to look like they should, right? And it really is unfair if a family follows the guidelines and another family doesn't, because uniforms aren't cheap. So, the ruling is, and they'll go through all this in great detail at orientation. General rule of thumb, A is wrong because there's writing on the sleeve, okay? D is wrong, it's two-tone, it's not the royal blue, gray, black, or white, okay? Now, if it was all black with just that little Nike swoosh, that'd be no problem, okay? But it was two-tone, so it doesn't count. Florida, I know some of you like Florida. I'm Bulldog myself, but we're not going to be team love, okay? Unless it says Trinity Christian Academy, okay? F, it has writing on the back. B and C. B is okay because it has a little insignia here, just a little one. That little splash of individuality, right? And the Nike swoosh, a little gator head, an Izod, whatever. So it's.
Did you say it could be the Nike little thingy or some other little?
It can have a little insignia here. Yeah, yeah. Correct. But if you notice, B is correct because it has a little thing here. That's fine. But it's black, which is a school color. Okay? So that way, if they find a Nike jacket or a Jaguar jacket that they like, that's okay. But it can't be Jaguars here. It can be a little Jaguar head here. Okay? And it has to be black, gray, white, or other way. And then, of course, C is because anything TCA counts. Okay? All right?
Hey Cindy.
Yeah.
Real quick, they're at orientation.
Mm-hmm.
We have got samples. We're gonna actually provide outerwear that they can purchase
Right.
from us. So to make your life easier, when they come to orientation, we're gonna have samples out. And it will be obviously approved. It might be the easiest place for you to get a jacket or something for them. And they'll
Yes.
order it through the school.
And some of our kids, we all know the majority of our kids are high dollar shoppers, and so that's okay. If they want a little, Versace jacket, that's fine. It just has to be really small, okay? Social media, we all have social media. So here's a few social media do's and don'ts, okay? The little penguin's cute, by the way, China specific. Then there's WeChat, Facebook, Viber, and a whole lot others. But do's, send your pictures. A lot of times the students, you'll go somewhere, you can take a picture, send it to them on WeChat or anything like that, or Facebook. Sometimes you'll get connected with their parents. If you do that, send pictures. You're at dinner, you've gone to the zoo, you've done something special. Communicate positively. Coordinate activities and be positive. Positive came up twice for a reason. Your social media is not meant in any way to discuss behavioral problems, discuss finances. We never talk money with the kids. Even if they bring it up to us, we always defer it back. We never discuss money with the kids. We don't discuss your grades. Why did you make a grade on this? This is horrible. And we don't complain or correct. Social media is meant to be positive, to communicate, to coordinate. It's not meant to have serious discussions, okay? So if you have those issues, make sure that you're communicating those issues through the agencies or through me. But social media is not meant to be, remember, translation is not your friend. Google Translation, WeChat Translation. I mean, listen, our kids, they struggle sometimes with getting phones because maybe they're underage and Sprint doesn't want to give them a phone and there's all these fees. So our kids do these social media things because of the Wi-Fi. They work on Wi-Fi. So you need to get, even if you're not phone savvy, let them teach you, let them help you download it, let them show you. Because these work on Wi-Fi, which is their primary mode. A lot of times they don't get phones, not because they're being horrible, but because they're having hard times with just the logistics of it. Okay, because they're minors. Most of them are minors. And if you click translate on WeChat, you're gonna get something very interesting sometimes. So you cannot communicate tone on WeChat. Social media does not communicate your tone, your intent, and especially when it translates, it can sometimes mean something you might not have intended it to mean. So be very careful. A lot of times, especially if there's an issue going on, the kids will screenshot that and send it to their parents. Well, if it's been translated improperly, that really is even doubly bad. And you don't want the kids to be the first ones to, I mean, if you had a kid in class, you'd want the teacher to come to you if there was a problem, right? And so it's the same thing, there's a process. And so we want to make sure that if you just keep in your mind that whatever I send is going to be shown to the natural parents, and how would I feel if they read this? Because think about it like the Bible. I can come up with all kinds of crazy stuff if I just pick that verse, and I pick that verse, and I pick that verse. I have to read it all in context, right? So when there's an issue and I've written something, maybe even with the best of intention, but I haven't carefully thought about how it's going to be seen, that's going to get taken out of context. Come on, people, they're teenagers. They're going to let their parents see what they want their parents to see, right? So it's always better to follow the process when you're on social media. Okay, don't have a connection, but we have an Uber policy. Okay, so the guidelines for Uber, Mr. Welling, our head of school, and I have talked in great length about this. I've talked to many agents about this. So these are the guidelines specifically provided by our head of school, okay? If a student is 18 or older, if the host family approves of the use of Uber, like if you give them permission to go to the mall using Uber, they don't just get in an Uber, you gave them permission, okay? They adhere to all the curfew and communication guidelines that you've set. You say you can take an Uber, but I want you back by 11 p.m., they better be back by 11 p.m., okay? Natural parents are gonna have a signed release form that they have to complete that gives that child permission, okay? And if you have an 18-year-old and they go pick up a 14-year-old, that doesn't work. You have to be 18 or older, okay? One, because legally Uber's for 18 years and older. Two, because if they got in an accident, even if all the permissions were signed and everything was in order, everybody did what they were supposed to do, accidents happen. At 18, I can get medical attention without someone signing in for me, okay? So, 18 or older. Discipline. If there's a first offense, 5 demerits and a formal warning of loss of privilege. Second offense, you lose it for the semester. Third, you get instant suspension and you lose it for the year. Fourth, if you're not going to follow the rules, I may not let you come back. So that's the policy that we've set forward. There'll be a few tweaks in it. We know that, not for the rules, but we know with working with the kids, you know, anytime you have a change in a rule, they're gonna try and find their little ways around it, because they are teenagers. Best practices for you, communicate your guidelines clearly and in writing, okay? If you know you've got a kid that's coming in and they're 18 or older, communicate it up front. Do not allow that student to use Uber. They ask you, say, well, you know, I have not received a signed copy of that release, so until I have that release copy, my answer is no. If they try to give it to you or show it to you on your phone, that's not acceptable. It has either come from my office or the homestay agency directly, okay? Because we've all known or heard of, or maybe experienced, a student who signed it for their parents, okay? So if it doesn't come through an official source, it don't count, okay? Report any misuse of Uber to your counselor and your school. Let us know. Because the truth is, they may be on their third time misusing it before we catch them, okay? And so, that's why we've got a strict policy for discipline on it. But report it. If you don't report it, and you wait until you're frustrated, it doesn't work. So if you give them the guidelines or not following the guidelines, report it, okay? Include and report it in writing, okay? Anything you put in writing helps us forward to the natural family, okay? Include any misuse of Uber in your monthly report, okay? Those monthly reports are there for a reason. You want the good, the bad, and the ugly, okay? You're still the primary mode of transportation. Please do not think that Uber means that you don't have to get up and take that kid to school, okay? When these parents pay this money, truthfully, their expectation is that you are their transportation. In fact, when I market overseas, they ask who takes them to school. Well, it's the parent's responsibility. Okay, so everything they've been taught, everything they believe, everything that's been marketed to them tells them that you're it. However, if you have a family emergency and this kid has an SAT, and now suddenly nobody, or maybe the person who was supposed to, I had a student last year who had a TOEFL, host parent was violently ill. I got up at like 7:30 in the morning and I took her. She was over 18. She could have actually, in that instance, gotten permission from her host family to take the Uber, okay? Because the host parent was violently ill, it didn't work. Sometimes there are conflicts that you can't avoid, that's why it's there, okay? So maybe you can get the kids to the shopping mall, but maybe there's no way you can pick them up, okay? So those are things that, and of course, you're gonna learn how trustworthy your student is, you're gonna learn what you're comfortable with, and you have to report the good, the bad, and the ugly, okay? It does not replace transportation to and from school events. Oh, you've got baseball and it's gonna get out late, so you just call an Uber. Nope, that's not the way it works. These are all listed for you, but I'm just gonna go over the highlights. Learning labs Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 3:15 to 5 o'clock. Students must report to study hall. If on Wednesdays or Fridays, if say you work till 5, they have to go to study hall, okay? Since there's no learning lab on Wednesdays and Fridays. Or if they're here after 5, because maybe you don't get here till 5:30, when we dismiss, we send them to study hall. If you can't get a hold of your student by WeChat, Miss Akins is our learning lab teacher. So she's the dedicated teacher for that. She's very excited because she gets to come into work late because she's staying late, so she's very excited to sleep in. But we're not telling too many people, I guess, because they might be very jealous. So she's our dedicated learning lab teacher, which will bring a lot more consistency to that than we've been able to provide in the past. So, because the buildings are locked and you don't have a badge, the S building is closed at 3:30, you need to email, WeChat your students, I'm gonna buy a charging port for their phones, because a lot of times their phone's dead and that's part of the problem. So we're gonna do everything we can. The quad this year because of some conflicts, we had to be in the H4 for Learning Lab. We're gonna be back in the H quad this year, that big building. I mean, the big square room all the way down the hall. So if you're down here banging on the door, ain't nobody gonna hear you, okay? So you're gonna have to email, call, WeChat, whatever you need to do, or you're gonna have to walk around and knock on the window associated with that room, okay? So just keep in contact. So this is what our kids look like when they first come, right? All right. So helping students adjust. I just want to throw a few things out. If you look, you see the bunk beds. Wouldn't you love to live in that? 6 to 8 kids. That's what they're used to in their boarding programs. So they come to America and they're like, I have my own room, and maybe I have to share a bathroom, but a lot of them have their own bathroom. So I point that out because when you're living 6 to 8 people in a room, 10 months out of the year, you have a really strong sense of community with your friends. Okay? Boarding begins in 7th grade. I mean, there are some kids who board younger, but the majority start 7th grade because that's when school gets serious. Okay? And so, since 7th grade, this is how you've been with 6 or 8 of your friends. You only maybe go home on Sunday. So when you're thinking, these kids always want to be with their friends, or they want to go to the mall, they always want to, that's because they see their friends more than they see their parents from about 7th grade up. This is their family. They love their family, they love their parents, it's just a different culture. So don't be put off. It's funny because our international kids are more friend specific. American kids are more family specific. That's because of how they've been raised. You know, we're used to our kids coming home every night, going to bed at 9 o'clock. These kids are not used to that. They get up early, they have their teachers, but their teachers leave them alone unless they misbehave. So they're pretty much totally independent. They eat at school, they sleep at school, they have their friends at school, maybe they go home on Saturday, they say, hey mom, dad, if their parents aren't working, or grandma might be there, and then they go shopping, go to the movies, go play karaoke, they go do all those fun things. And most of the kids, if you ask them, they really don't see their parents on the weekends. Not that much. So their friend group is their biggest group. So the classes have about 60 to 100 kids in them. See the little girl napping at the computer. Because they have such long school days, they have up hours in the dorm usually until like midnight. So when your kids are staying up till midnight, 1 o'clock studying, and you're like, why aren't you in bed at 10 o'clock? That's because that's not what they're used to. It's just not what they're used to. The funny thing is, a lot of people think, well, if they don't go to bed early, then they're not going to wake up early. Okay? This is the cultural difference. These kids are used to staying up till 12 or 1 in the morning to do schoolwork and getting up at 7 the next morning or 6 the next morning to start all over again. The difference is that's their normal schedule in their language. But see, brain power is a whole lot more stress when you're having to do all